Good afternoon. Two elderly women are in hospital following an early morning fire at a Scarborough apartment.
Now an investigation is underway to determine the cause of the blaze, which has displaced more than a dozen other people. CTV's Mike Walker has been following this investigation. He joins us live now with the latest. Mike.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, investigators with both Toronto Fire and police are currently on scene. They are working together and trying to determine whether this fire at a seniors apartment building is considered suspicious. Now, the two-alarm fire broke out shortly before 2 this morning, startling many seniors out of bed. The fire was located in the 9th floor hallway. Officials say a mattress was on fire, and the smoke spread into multiple units. Two elderly women were taken to hospital with serious injuries and had to be treated for smoke inhalation. Many seniors needed help from firefighters evacuating the building. Several are now displaced. A TTC bus was brought in for shelter. We're told residents who live on the south side of the 9th floor will be out of their homes for at least a week. This incident happening less than 2 weeks after a fatal fire at this same building. Here's more from fire officials and residents who are once again on edge.
There's two parts to this building. There's a north side and a south side. It's separated by a fire door. That fire door is closed. Beyond the north side, there is no smoke damage at all. It's the importance of having these fire doors closed. And the residents here did the right thing. They all sheltered in place. The damage to the 9th floor on the south side is extensive. Anyone who would have entered that would have been in peril there. The damage is beyond, the fire damage is down to the floor. Smoke damage is throughout the whole south end of the building.
The alarm wake me up and I called my daughter quickly. I was terrified, but I'm okay now.
The smoke was coming inside, so I couldn't breathe again. Same thing last time it happened, same thing it happened.
The fireman knocked the door and said, everybody must come out. So I put his mask and I put my own mask and then we followed them on the stair.
Toronto Seniors Housing says 18 units are affected, but at this point it's not clear exactly how many seniors are displaced. They say arrangements are currently being made for food and temporary accommodations. We are expecting an update from Fire Chief Jim Jessup in the next few minutes. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Meanwhile, a man is fighting for his life in hospital following a stabbing early this morning. Emergency crews called to a home on Plunkett Road near Steeles and Islington shortly before 1:30 a.m. When they arrived, they found the victim suffering from a stab wound. He was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. A 28-year-old woman was arrested at the scene. Police say the victim and the suspect are known to each other, and there is no ongoing threat to public safety.
A man injured in a shooting which left another man dead in Scarborough on Monday has been charged with second-degree murder. The victim's been identified as 32-year-old Levon Byers. He was found suffering from a gunshot wound on Terraview Boulevard near Victoria Park in the 401 on Monday. He later died at the scene. Shortly after Byers was found, police were called to the Victoria Park and Shepherd area for reports of another shooting. Police say a man suffering from gunshot wounds got out of his vehicle in the area and was taken to hospital. He has since been identified as 28-year-old Hakeem El-Mozazi. He was initially facing gun-related charges, but has now been charged with second-degree murder. Police have not said whether the suspect and victim shot each other, only saying the two incidents are connected.
A man has been seriously injured following a crash involving a transport truck in Brampton. This happened just before midnight in the area of Steeles and Winston Churchill Boulevard. Peel police say in addition to the truck, 2 other vehicles were involved. Police say one man was taken to hospital with serious injuries. All the drivers involved remained on scene.
A 24-year-old woman is dead following a crash in Hamilton yesterday evening. It happened just before 7 on the Lincoln Alexander Parkway near Upper James Street. 2 vehicles collided and lost control, with one crossing the median and into the path of a transport truck. The driver of that vehicle died at the scene. An investigation into the crash is ongoing.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, escalating violence in the Middle East. The U.S. has carried out more strikes on Iran, while Iran has lashed out at neighboring countries in the region. We'll have the latest on the conflict a little later in the newscast. The renewed violence in the Middle East is also having an impact on global fuel costs.
Drivers are being urged to fill up today as gas prices are expected to spike tomorrow. CTV's Janice Golding has been speaking with drivers and joins us live now with more. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, as the tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to rise, so too is the price of oil. And that means we can all expect to be paying more at the gas stations. Right now, we're at a gas station in Scarborough where the price is sitting at 164.9 cents. However, it is expected to climb by about 5 cents a litre tomorrow to hit 169.9 cents. And diesel is expected to climb by about 13 cents and hit 198.9 cents per litre. Analysts also predict that the prices are likely to go up another 5 cents a litre over the weekend. Now, yesterday, just after 18 days of a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, President Trump said the deal was over. This followed Iranian attacks on commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, with the U.S. launching retaliatory airstrikes in Iran. Following this, the price of oil rose to its highest point in weeks. Here is what people have to say about it.
$100 every, every filling, yeah, $100 extra. Now 150, 60, yeah.
So $50 or $60 more to fill your tank?
Yeah, affected, yeah.
How does that feel?
Disappointed, that's all.
Around $50 because it's rain, so yeah, I put a lot of gas on this.
That's a lot more money. How is that hurting you in the pocketbook?
It's a situation right now, so it's all on the word, so that's why, yeah, we need to go with this.
We are buying less coffee, less shopping.
How is it hurting you? I mean, how do you feel about it?
It's not only me, everybody. This one hurting it to everyone, right?
It looks like the short-selling traders on the futures market are backing at it today. They're trying to dumb down the price of oil as if economics and this, very serious geopolitical matter is of no consequence. I mean, this is really funny to see this happen because, of course, it helps consumers realize that they're not going to get hit as hard as they should. But sooner or later, it's going to have to appear. We're going to have to pay the price of, what it amounts to about a 20% drop in global oil supplies.
So you are advised, of course, to fill up your gas tank today before the prices rise. But Dan McTague says you should wait until after 6 p.m. because that is when prices are always at their cheapest in the GTA. Reporting live from Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. Fire officials are providing an update on that blaze that injured 2 elderly women at a Scarborough apartment early this morning. Here's the chief. Let's listen in.
Away we go. Away we go. So good afternoon. Shortly before 2 o'clock this morning, Toronto Fire received the report of a fire at 1420 Victoria Park Avenue. Our communications center handled numerous calls from panicked residents with smoke filling the 9th floor. Upon arrival, our crews were met with extreme heat, smoke and fire conditions on the 9th floor. I have been briefed and I've absolutely seen the devastation on the 9th floor. I certainly want to begin by thanking my staff last night. The conditions that they fought their way through to evacuate numerous individuals was nothing short of heroic. The entire 9th floor the hallway has been destroyed, and we continue to do our work. There are 2 residents that were removed by Toronto Fire and transported by Toronto paramedics that are still in hospital in non-life-threatening condition. And as I said, the incident commander absolutely made the right call, sheltering residents in place, having them stay on their balcony as smoke continued to charge the floor. The fire's been extinguished. We continue right now to assess the damage and are working with Toronto Community Housing Seniors Division on the longer-term plans for the no less than 18 units that have been that won't be able to be habitable for a significant amount of time, given the damage to the hallway. Last night, as I said, seeing the conditions that the first responders attended to, their incredible work is the only reason, between our operations staff and our communication staff, along with our peers at Toronto Police and Toronto Paramedics, is the only reason we do not have multiple fatalities to report. So a huge thanks out to all the first responders that showed up last night and battled their way through, what can only be described as really harrowing conditions. The investigation into the origin, cause, and circumstances of this fire has commenced. Toronto Fire Investigations Division is on scene along with the Toronto Police Service, and that investigation is now started. We've also notified the Office of the Fire Marshal, for their awareness of the seriousness of the fire.
How much more concerning is it for you to fight a fire where it's a seniors building? Mobility is a big deal.
It absolutely was, and that is why, as I said, the staff last night from Toronto Fire Service performed. I don't use this word nonchalantly, but they performed heroically last night, getting up to the 9th floor, battling their way through pitch black and heavy heat. Evacuating seniors out of the floor, attending them to them that were literally on their balconies, and similar to our communication staff that kept the residents calm and kept providing them the right information, which was to keep their doors shut and to shelter in place. So mobility was a huge issue, which is why this was immediately escalated to a second alarm, because we absolutely needed those numbers of staff to perform all the critical tasks that have to be done simultaneously in a high-rise fire, especially dealing with senior citizens.
Do you know the exact number of residents that have been displaced? Again, as you mentioned, 18 units, but...
So we are still working with Toronto Community Housing on that right now. In fact, there's a business cycle meeting in the command post occurring now. But certainly the 9th floor is uninhabitable and will be for some time. We're still trying to work with TCH on assessing their needs of each individual. But as I said, Toronto Community Housing has been fully engaged. They have staff on site. They've opened up a cooling center. They're providing the residents some food and drink right now. I suspect it'll be several more hours before we have an exact number on how many residents are permanently displaced for a period of time.
And I just wanted to clarify, it is the 9th floor, the south side, and not the north side?
That's correct. That's correct, and as I said, I've seen the damage up there. The fire door that separated the south and north tower absolutely did its job, and very, very little damage on the north side. It held the fire back, it held the smoke back, or we would be even in a more a difficult situation than we are right now.
Are we talking several weeks here, Chief, for these displaced residents?
Sorry?
Are we talking several weeks?
So the 9th floor, I can tell you the hallway has been destroyed. So I would say, they're going to have the restoration companies on site, but certainly no less than 1 week. But the 9th floor hallway in that tower has absolutely been destroyed. It is not habitable at all.
I understand there was a mattress that was on fire in the hallway as well. You're working with police. Are we ruling this as suspicious at this point?
So at this point, the investigation has commenced. It would be too early to suggest any hypothesis. But as I said, Toronto Police are on scene. We are working with them, with our Toronto Fire investigators. And certainly it has been reported to me as well that there was a mattress in the hallway. But at this point, it would be too early to make any type of comment or guess as to what happened.
Not asking you to speculate on that, but you've been in this building as late as June 28th.
That's correct.
How concerning is it to you that you had 2 fires like this in the same building in a span of less than a month?
Well, I can tell you the fires are not linked at all. The fire that we had several weeks ago that resulted in a fatality was in the unit as opposed to in the hallway. So the fires are completely different in their nature. Certainly the loss of life on the 28th is something that we spoke to before, and but it's absolutely concerning when we do have fires in high-rise buildings that house senior citizens, and that is why it is critical that you had that full response from police, fire, and paramedics last night.
Some of the residents are saying they're terrified, they're spooked because you've had 2 fires, albeit that they're not linked, but in the same building within such a short period of time.
No, and I reviewed the call log last night, and I have read the comments that were coming in, and it was scary. When my phone rang early this morning to be briefed on this, we had senior citizens, literally on the balcony that could not breathe, and that was being reported to us. And again, that's why our communications experts did such a great job last night in trying to calm them. Our public education division, once the investigation is complete, will be back here to conduct another public information session on fire safety and steps to take to reduce the likelihood and probability of fire. But again, the key message for me to give out right now is the fires are absolutely not linked. But again, we understand, given we've had 2 serious fires here in less than a couple of weeks, I completely understand their concern.
We understand that the elevators aren't working right now, and some of the residents have concerned about that. We understand this is where difficult trying to get up and down. How many sort of estimated time restoration?
So the contractors are underway. The elevators fall under the Technical Standards and Safety Authority. They are en route. I'm not surprised that we've had some damage done. I don't know the type of damage because of the water that was used to put out the fire. That's why the Toronto Fire Service is still on scene. We are escorting individuals up, and those that cannot walk, we are actually going up into their units, and we are gathering whatever belongings, medicines, clothing that they require, and we are bringing it down for them. So we will continue to perform our wellness checks. We will continue to be on scene for several hours. And as I said, Toronto Community Housing has notified the Technical Standards and Safety Authority, and elevator technicians are en route.
How many elevators will there be?
So there's 2 to my knowledge.
Given that this happened on the 9th floor, though, but is there any concern that for those maybe on the 8th floor or the 10th floor might have any trouble, difficulty breathing with the extent of the heat and smoke damage on the night?
So there was light smoke and haze when we arrived on the 8th floor. We are currently assessing water damage on the 8th floor because we fought the fire on the 9th. But as I said, the fire was absolutely contained to the hallway on the 9th floor. We had light haze throughout the building, which our crews managed expertly, as they always do. But we are now working with Toronto Community Housing on assessing potential water damage in units that were below the fire floor.
You're listening to Fire Chief Jim Jessup painting a harrowing picture of rescue efforts overnight at a Scarborough seniors building, an intense fire and smoke on the 9th floor. Certainly the chief taking time to praise the rescue efforts because many seniors have mobility issues. There are 2 elderly women, residents of that building, who are in hospital. Fortunately, their injuries are non-life-threatening. They're now going to investigate the cause, but also there are 18 units that are uninhabitable because of all the damage, and so it certainly means a number of residents are going to be displaced. We'll continue to follow this developing story.
To other news, the mayor was joined by several officials at Seneca Polytechnic this morning to announce the Youth Community Academy.
One of the most important part of the program is this academy. It's paid because many young people have to choose between earning income in the summer and gaining experience. They shouldn't have to choose between a summer job and a chance to learn and grow.
The program will see 40 students taking part in a 2-month-long program with a focus on policing and firefighting. They'll be working alongside active service members to receive training with the potential to pursue a career in their chosen field. All right, Prime Minister Mark Carney is speaking in Saudi Arabia this hour. Let's listen in live.
De cyberdéfense. The generational investments we're making in the Canadian Armed Forces meant that on Tuesday, for the first time in 40 years, nearly 40 years, Canada arrived at a NATO summit with our defense investments and capacity on a clear upward trajectory. Already hit NATO's 2% target. We're on a clear path to 5% by 2035, which is the NATO objective. We arrived in Ankara as a stronger, more capable member of the alliance. At the summit, I met with President Erdogan, where we agreed to launch negotiations on a new free trade agreement with Turkey, a trade agreement that can unlock billions in trades between our 2 countries. We signed new defense contracts that will grow our industrial base and jobs at home in Canada. We agreed to open negotiations to join NATO's Innovation Sub-Fund and announced that Canada will host NATO's 2027 Industry Forum, a sign of our ambition in building jobs and growth here at home. As we build our strength at home, we're also deploying it abroad. In Ankara, we announced that Canada will extend Operation Reassurance to 2031, and that's the Canadian-led brigade in Latvia. It's our largest overseas mission, and we're increasing it, deploying more personnel for a total ground presence of about 2,600. That's Canadian soldiers, joined by 15 other nations of the NATO alliance. Canada will now stand as the third framework nation of a multinational Division North alongside Latvia and Denmark, taking even greater responsibility for NATO's eastern flank. Partant du travail que nous avions commencé à Montréal.
Starting with the work that we began in Montreal in the spring, we have rallied new support around the Defense Bank for security and resilience. This institution, led by Canada, will be based in Canada, and it will mobilize private capital for our collective security. In Ankara, 8 of our allies and partners accepted to support this bank. This will allow us to accelerate its implementation and to expand its potential influence. We add to that our commitment to Ukraine remains unshakable. We have granted new funds for munitions, armored vehicles, defense, and essential equipment. And this is part of the general support that we are offering to Ukraine and has made Canada one of the most important partners for Ukraine since the beginning of this terrible war.
I also held a series of bilateral meetings, including with the NATO Secretary General, leaders from over a dozen countries. So through new investments, through deeper industrial and defense partnerships, strengthened support for Ukraine, expanded role in reinforcing NATO's eastern flank, Canada is delivering on our commitments and helping to build a stronger and more secure NATO. Here today in Jeddah, we are building partnerships with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, harnessing the ambitions of our nations to catalyze greater security, prosperity, and opportunity for both our peoples. We signed, Canadian and Saudi businesses have signed 13 new commercial agreements across education, critical minerals and mining, energy, infrastructure, security, artificial intelligence. In education, agreements to train workers in some of the kingdom's most dynamic industries, building the skills that will power its next decade of growth. In critical minerals and mining, new Canadian engineering partnerships are working on some of the most ambitious mining projects here, unlocking over $2 trillion of mineral wealth. In energy and infrastructure, Canadian expertise is supporting roads, rails, and urban development across the kingdom, along with clean building technologies that help it build sustainably. And in defense and security, new training partnerships support the kingdom's efforts to build domestic aviation and defense industry capabilities. In artificial intelligence, Canadian AI and health technology partnerships are helping to transform patient monitoring, diagnostics, and surgical care. We're aiming to conclude negotiations with Saudi Arabia for a foreign investment promotion and protection agreement by the first quarter of next year. Canada's Minister of Finance, who's here, intends to lead a delegation of Canadian pension funds and their $2 trillion of capital to visit the kingdom in coming months to identify new investment opportunities. And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund will visit Canada in the fall, attending our Canada Investment Summit, which showcase some of our transformative projects. Canada is also announcing that we will participate in Expo 2030 here in Saudi, bringing Canadian projects, expertise, showcasing the best of Canada at what will be a landmark event. I would like to thank His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, and the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia for his hospitality and for our rich discussions this afternoon. Canada and Saudi Arabia have growing cooperation across key sectors, some of which I've referenced, but I also want to recognize...
We're listening to Prime Minister Mark Carney, fresh off NATO meetings in Turkey. He's in Saudi Arabia now, and we should note he is Canada's first PM in 25 years to visit that country. He's there hoping to strengthen economic ties and investment in this country, and he says he's making progress in that regard. Should note also, even with Saudi Arabia's human rights record, they are longtime trading partners. Of course, we're going to follow this and give you more details on CTV News at 5 and 6 tonight.
Here in Toronto, we turn our attention to the forecast. Did you get soaked earlier? The sky opened up, dumping a heavy dose of rain, depending on where you were. Is it round one of more to come. Probably the folks downtown liking the fact that they had some tents there to shade themselves. Lindsay is monitoring what's happening with the sky today, and it's a busy one.
Yeah, so far, Michelle, it was downpours around the city of Toronto, but as we progress through this afternoon, the possibility of more severe weather is there. So thunder, lightning, perhaps some small hail and some strong winds. So we'll have an eye on this radar all day. Just recently had a pretty strong storm make its way across Rice Lake in the Peterborough area. It is quite unsettled along the shoreline of Lake Huron, around Goderich, for example. Quite soggy to the east of Georgian Bay and parts of Cottage Country. And yes, Toronto, Scarborough, right through to Bowmanville, just recently dealing with some of those heavy downpours as well. There are severe thunderstorm watches in place for a couple of different parts of our province. This is where we expect the strongest storms to potentially develop this afternoon. Winds are light right now. It is hot and humid out there. 28 degrees, feels like 36. And we expect it to become just a little more humid for this afternoon. Lots of heat still to come as we progress through the weekend and especially next week. Full look at your 7-day forecast is coming up. For now, Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Turning to the war in the Middle East, for a second straight night, the U.S. has launched airstrikes against Iran. Tehran has responded by targeting other countries in the Persian Gulf.
I'd say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20.
The U.S. says it struck 90 targets overnight. Iranian state media reporting explosions along the country's southern coast. Iran's health ministry says 14 people were killed in 2 nights of strikes. In response, Iran says it launched drones and missiles at U.S. allies in the Gulf, including Kuwait and Qatar. The U.S. military claims its strikes are aimed at protecting shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Yesterday, U.S. President Donald Trump said Iranian attacks on ships in the strait mark the end of a ceasefire between the two nations.
Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Iran's attacks on Gulf ships are unacceptable and unjustified.
The attacks over the last number of days, the Iranian steps that it continues to take to, it appears, maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz are unacceptable. And that has to be front and center as the parties continue to negotiate towards the permanent ceasefire.
Anand says ceasefires are always fragile, but called out Iran for striking civilian targets. She says Canada stands alongside Persian Gulf countries being targeted by Iran.
Following a day off, the FIFA World Cup is back with the quarterfinal round set to kick off this afternoon. Morocco will square off against France in the first quarterfinal matchup at 4 p.m. today. The Moroccans advanced with a win over Canada in the round of 16. And tomorrow, Belgium, who eliminated the U.S. in the round of 16, will take on Spain. And Saturday will feature 2 matches, the first between England and Norway. The evening game will see defending champions Argentina take on Switzerland. Lindsay.
Well, as we've mentioned, we are keeping eyes on the sky today for the possibility of severe weather. So what makes a thunderstorm severe? This is it gives you an idea of what could happen when a severe thunderstorm warning is issued. A reminder, we have some watches in place. A warning means that a storm is imminent or occurring. So when that happens, if it pops up on your phone, it's time to head indoors. The evening, we hang on to the chance of showers and storms, but generally going to dry out. The overnight hours are cloudy. And then coming up, we are going to talk about even more heat building for next week with highs in the 30s, feeling like 40. Details are after this break here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Cirque du Soleil is back in Toronto to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Lucia, a show that celebrates the culture and environment of Mexico. And our Jessica Smith joins us live now with more on the show. Jess, I'm looking forward to this.
Michelle, no promises that I won't run away and actually join the circus now that it's back in town, but you have to kind of see some of these skills to believe it. It really is wildly impressive. That is Tegan. We will talk to him very shortly. I am going to get a lesson. Will I be this good? Absolutely. No, I'm just kidding. My skill set stops at just talking a lot for a living, but I want to come over to Colette. I have to ask you, so much of the show is catered to movement and the costuming, and this dress in particular is spectacular. So explain to me what the role is of this dress in the show.
Yeah, so this dress is worn by the singer, and it's a really beautiful moment, especially because the flowers on the dress actually bloom while she's singing, then they close again, bloom again. It's wirelessly controlled, 61 servo motors, and it just really adds the action in the scene.
Are we able to hoist it up? Because I want to see almost like the inside of the dress, because it really is a team effort, because you said even the folks behind the scenes help control the dress itself and so much of what we see.
And this dress is so unique, the way it's built, it actually has to be lowered onto her. So she stands underneath, and we just bring it down very slowly, very carefully, and then clip her into it, because it does have a bit of weight to it when you have that much electronics, but the effect is worth it.
And there's such a cultural influence. How does that play into the show as well?
It's really important to keep that cultural influence, do all the research. These are hibiscus flowers, and it really is a beautiful thing, and the whole scene with the rain curtain, it's a lovely effect.
You have to see it to believe it. And also part of the show is the movement. So Tegan, I have to ask you, I heard off camera that you are a third generation performer.
Yes, I am third generation of circus family. I've been juggling since I was 8 years old, and now here I am performing in one of the best shows of Cirque du Soleil.
What is it like being a part of this? I mean, it's such a historical show, such a historical kind of group here, and you're amongst some of the best performers in the world, yourself included. What does it feel like to walk onto that stage?
It feels amazing, especially because I get the chance to share this scenario with so many talented artists, and then I have the chance to share my talent with all the audience day by day. Like, it's thousands of people every day seeing you for the first time. So it's an amazing joy. So it's something that I cannot describe, but you can feel so amazing and so grateful about that.
All right, we got a few seconds left. I'm going to hand the microphone to Gilles. You're going to give me a little bit of a lesson.
Sure.
Okay. How do I do this?
We're going to do 1, 2. Yeah.
Okay.
And then now you cross 1, 1.
That counts. That counts.
Yeah. 1, 1. Both need to be on the air. Yeah. That's it.
No one saw that. All right, so the show goes until August 30th, so you can come and check it out down here on the lakeshore in Etobicoke. I'm going to leave the juggling to Tegan because he's much better than I am. But come out and see the show. It's so much fun. You know what? Here, I'll toss you one. There you go. See, I'm part of the show now.
Ooh.
That's where my juggling
It's like
skills
they planned it.
You ever see a juggler look so happy? Look at him.
Woo. Oh, join the circus. It makes you wonder, if you had to be in the circus, what would your skill be?
Maybe juggling.
You can
but
juggle?
I can juggle 3, but that's it. But not with like that speed and consistency. I wish I could.
3's impressive. What's your? Oh, you could do dance.
Well, I've always wanted to try that trapeze. It looks kind of cool, but I never have. What about yourself?
I don't know. I can make a clover with my tongue.
Oh, okay.
That would be it.
Well, tricks all around.
Woo.
Weather-wise today, yeah, Mother Nature might be playing a few tricks on us too, because we've got the risk of thunderstorms. We're already seeing active weather in places, mainly in the form of heavy rain, but we've had some lightning east of the GTA, west over Lake Huron as well. So let's give you an idea of what you need to be prepared for potentially this afternoon and evening. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. As expected, though, we did have some sun to start the day, and hey, there were a couple of early risers who made their way out to the beach. Lake Ontario's waters, yeah, inviting, I suppose, everyone in for an early morning swim. Of course, with this weather setup like we have today, if swimming is on your agenda today, anytime there is thunder, that's a sign that you need to get out of the water and head indoors. Similar situation if you're hoping to do some boating today. Probably not too many people out on the water right now around Georgian Bay, Lake Huron, and the lakes across Muskoka in through Algonquin Park. It's quite soggy this hour, and we're starting to see a few more isolated cells make their way into the lower Great Lakes and around the GTA. With this, we have the threat of slightly more severe storms as opposed to just the heavy downpours that we had this morning. Cold front slices through. This is a hot, muggy air mass. As you know, we've been feeling it the last little bit here. So that's around 2 p.m. And as you can see, risk of storms, Toronto westward. And then as the day progresses, perhaps the east end of the GTA. So that's closer to the dinner hour. As we make our way later into the evening, we do dry out. Cloud cover sticks around through the overnight hours. And then your Friday, generally drier, but not everyone in the clear. Risk of thunderstorms and pop-up showers once again in some communities. Again, looks like it could be mainly west of Toronto specifically. and then it's loads of sunshine by the time we reach Saturday. Sunday looks great too. And not only is it sunny next week, but it's also going to be quite hot. So just a reminder before we move on to the temperature story. There are severe thunderstorm watches in place for areas across southwest Ontario and the east end of the GTA, including Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa. City of Toronto right now, 28 degrees, feeling more like 36. Today's high, yeah, we've reached it. However, we expect it could feel a little more humid before the day is finished. 27 degrees is our seasonal norm. Once again, it's going to be a warm night tonight in places like Toronto, Hamilton, and Niagara Falls with a low near 20. There's tomorrow, 28 degrees. We're pretty consistently daytime high-wise around that mark in the coming days. Slightly less humid tomorrow. It's all relative, just by a couple of humidex value points. There's a look at what you can expect, generally speaking, for Friday in southern Ontario. Again, not completely in the clear. A little bit of active weather still going to be possible. You simply need to be weather aware. But Saturday and Sunday, go right on ahead with those outdoor plans. Just make sure you have a plan to keep cool and hydrated. And then next week, perhaps another heat wave with 3 consecutive days in the 30s, loads of sunshine, and those days are going to feel a lot more like 40. That's the weather for now. Michelle, back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, the Blue Jays had the day off after Dylan Cease was just 1 inning away from throwing the second no-hitter in franchise history.
And it's lined into center, a base hit to lead off the top of the 9th inning. The first hit of the ball game for the Giants.
Who jinxed it? Cease took a no-hitter into the 9th inning, but it was broken up with a single by the San Francisco Giants' first batter. That was the only hit the Giants would get, though, as the Jays went on to win the game 10-0. The team is back on the field tomorrow as they begin a series with the San Diego Padres.
The shorthanded Tampa were looking to get back into the win column when they hosted the hottest team in the WNBA.
Nurse, catch and shoot, got it! You knew that was going in. Kia Nurse.
The game was tight throughout, but Golden State ended up coming out on top, beating Toronto 83-75. The Tampa will be back on the court tomorrow when they host the Dallas Wings as they continue a 9-game homestand.
Toronto FC are technically still on their World Cup break, but they will be back on the pitch tonight for a friendly match. The team will be in Nova Scotia to take on the Halifax Wanderers of the Canadian Premier League. TFC has been on a break as BMO Field, their home pitch, was taken over for the World Cup. TFC returns to regular MLS play July 16th when they take on Montreal.
You're watching CTV News at noon. Stay with us. More news after the break.
A new study finds the surge in use of drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy has been accompanied by a surge in preventable calls to poison control. Researchers at the University of Texas, San Antonio looked at calls to poison control before and after 2021. That's the year U.S. officials first approved those GLP-1 drugs to be used for chronic weight management alongside diabetes. Before that switch, the call centers got roughly 1,000 to 1,500 calls about GLP-1s. The figure had reached more than 8,000 calls by 2023. The authors say most cases stemmed from unintentional dosing errors. They argue better patient education around weight loss drugs is crucial to reduce preventable mistakes.
As more people rely on artificial intelligence tools for everyday tasks, one popular chatbot will now help users reflect on how much they're using it. Claude is the name of the bot operated by AI giant Anthropic. Today, the company said it's launching a beta that will help users understand their usage patterns and to decide whether they align with their goals. Anthropic says the Reflect tool will also invite users to step back and examine the role Claude plays in their lives. It will also include advice on ways to use AI to support original thinking and build new skills.
And still to come, a new poll finds a majority of Canadians are skeptical about who will be able to reap the benefits of artificial intelligence. We'll have those details when we return.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A new poll finds a majority of Canadians do not believe artificial intelligence will provide everyone with the same access to new opportunities. The poll, conducted by the Angus Reid Institute, finds 56% of respondents say AI is more likely to create inequality than equality in society. 68% of people also reject the idea that everyone will be able to benefit from the tech. That comes as Canadians report using the technology more frequently. 16% of people say they use AI several times a day. That's up from 10% in November.
WestJet's flight attendants are in the middle of voting on a strike mandate. Talks between CUPE and the union representing flight attendants and the airline have been ongoing for 10 months. The main sticking point is how cabin crews are paid. They say they work 35 hours of unpaid duty each month. CUPE says if they vote in favor of a strike mandate, it would give them more power at the bargaining table. The earliest they'd be able to strike is August 2nd. However, negotiations are continuing.
As Paramount looks to complete its takeover of Warner Brothers, government officials on both sides of the Atlantic are still raising some questions about this deal. Oregon's Attorney General is preparing to ask a court to pause Paramount's $110 billion U.S. bid for at least 60 days. Paramount has told the state it won't close the deal before July 16th, but AG Dan Rayfield is asking a court for a longer delay. He's accusing Paramount of withholding records of its lobbying efforts to get regulatory clearance and the approval of the Trump administration. Rayfield accused the company of trying to rush through the merger before further scrutiny. A Paramount spokesperson said the information Oregon is seeking has nothing to do with the, quote, plainly lawful pro-competitive transaction.
The music world is mourning the death of singer Bonnie Tyler.
Now I'm only falling apart. There's nothing I can do. A total eclipse of the heart.
Tyler, who was born in Wales, was best known for her 1983 hit Total Eclipse of the Heart. The song spent a month at the top of the U.S. charts. Tyler, who was a 3-time Grammy nominee, died in hospital in Portugal, where she had recently undergone surgery. Bonnie Tyler was 75 years old.
Coming up, blazing a trail for female firefighters. The first woman to suit up for Cambridge's fire department is calling it a career. We'll have the story when we come back.
Cambridge's first female firefighter is hanging up her helmet after more than 3 decades of service.
CTV's Spencer Turcott spoke with her about blazing a trail for other women to follow in her footsteps.
When Kelly Willems walked into the Cambridge Fire Department for her first shift 35 years ago, she wasn't just starting a career, she was making history.
I got hired July 1st of 1991, and I was the only woman on the department at that time. It was a pretty big adjustment for everyone.
In fact, the former heavy equipment operator and truck driver became the city's first female firefighter. After spending years working in male-dominated fields, she didn't think much of it, but suddenly found herself in the spotlight.
I didn't expect it to be such a big deal. I didn't expect to be so visible when I got hired.
While many firefighters supported her from day one, times were different then. Some questioned whether a woman belonged in the service.
Some of the guys were great, very helpful, very welcoming. Some of them were skeptical, didn't think it was the best job for a woman.
But from the very beginning, Willems always wanted to be treated as an equal, even speaking out in 1999, urging the province not to lower testing standards for female firefighters.
I don't feel that the girls are any different and should be singled out. We do the same job. We should be treated the same.
Over time, she earned the respect she deserved. Her experience operating heavy equipment made her a natural behind the wheel of a fire truck. And her colleagues say they always felt she had things under control.
You always knew you were getting to the scene, never an issue with getting water, getting the ladder up. You could always count on her.
Just 2 years after she was hired, another woman joined the department. Today, there are many more, and her fellow firefighters say that's no coincidence.
She forged her own path, showing that they could do it. Every time we come on, there's more women, more interested.
As she leaves her firefighting career behind and settles into retirement, she's preparing the next generation of female firefighters.
I have 2 daughters at home. One daughter went to college for firefighting, and Kelly helped answer any questions that she had and was very supportive.
A sign that even after 35 years of putting out fires, the trail she blazed for women in the field will keep burning long after she's gone. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Cambridge.
Oh, congratulations to Kelly. And it really puts it into perspective. We had the fire at the top of the newscast, you know, the dangers they face.
Yeah, you heard Jim Jessup, the chief, call them heroes, and she's definitely one and a trailblazer as well.
That's for sure, yeah.
Enjoy your retirement.
Absolutely. And if today is day one of retirement for anyone, well, it's a little bit of a stormy day, but we've got lots of sunshine and heat to look forward to in the coming days. But just want to reiterate the fact that we have severe thunderstorm watches in place for areas including Oakville, Burlington, Hamilton, and over toward Niagara, as well as the east end of the GTA, so Pickering eastward. And that's because severe weather is possible through this afternoon. The next couple of hours have the opportunity for the most severe weather. If the sun is shining where you are right now, don't let that fool you. That could simply help fuel thunderstorms over the next few hours. Next few days are bright and sunny. That's a look at the cottage forecast. And here's our weekend weather forecast a little closer to home. Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.